Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Croucher, and I want to start off this episode by... I talked to Brett and Ilse. I want to start off this episode by apologizing. I know last week when I disappeared, it was inappropriate, it was unprofessional, and there was a lot going on. Today is Monday. It is Mental Health Monday for me, and I focusing on striving for the best mental health for others. I got very sick. I was taken into the hospital because of how bad it got. And then from there, I dealt with emotional and mental health issues where my doctor was even trying to tell me I probably should check myself into a 72-hour hold. As you can see, I didn't. But I was writing to myself, and I felt I needed to read this out loud to everybody and let you guys know. Why don't I answer anything? From phone calls, text messages, and emails. Why do I shut down? I don't like to answer my phone because there's always someone on the other side needing something. I enjoy being able to help others, either by physically being there for them, if able, and listening to someone if they're just sad. I don't like to answer emails because there's been so many no's. There's been so many things I've put myself through to come back and just be told over and over no's on things. Can't happen. I see myself as an individual that's becoming easily triggered by wanting to just appease others. And I find joy in being able to help others even at the expense of myself. That's not healthy. I don't do any of these things to intentionally self-sabotage, yet I need to please others to become, to please others has become a crutch of broken boundaries and self-pity. I fear failing others by not being my best self. Well, once I start being behind on emails and social media and text messages, that's what I choose to give to everyone else instead. I choose to put others ahead of myself because of the overwhelming anxiety from not feeling good enough, looking for the approval in others, and needing their acceptance to help me move on and distract myself from my personal problems. I get the joy of knowing I did something for someone else while leaving my own needs in the behind. I don't truly understand self-love because I'm growing in it, but I want to thank you all right now because this last week, I spent a lot of time working on getting better. A lot of time working on making sure I put my best foot forwards for me. Because what is self-love? It was giving to myself the time to catch up with messages, answer calls without the emptiness inside myself, hoping to help someone else. It is the strong accomplishment in myself. It is knowing that I did something for myself to bring out the better version of myself. This is self-love. This is boundaries. This is creating a place, a time limit, and energy for what I provide for everyone else. But I apologize to myself. Thank you guys for believing in us. Thank you for being a part of our mission. As an individual who suffers from mental health issues, without you guys reaching out, contacting, and telling me, I don't know where I'd be. And I could not be more grateful for the community we're building. And I'm sorry that I did what I did. And the people that I could talk to, that I had energy for, I made sure I got in contact with, such as Ilse, to give her bigger leadership roles, give her the chance to shine the way she does. And I'm grateful for everything she took upon. To Brett, being willing to step in when I'm not here, and to the audience being willing to one after another jump on, show support, and show love. Guys, today is a new day. I've pushed and asked the universe for a lot of help. And Ilse and I had talked. We don't know who's doing exactly what yet. It's a new topic, but we're going to be doing Sober October. I'm actually going to not drink. I'm going to not smoke. And I'm not going to have any coffee for the month of October. I've been eating better and doing a lot more, but my body needs to do a good reset and be able to push to be able to bring the best and break out barriers that I've held back. And the only way to do that is pushing to find the best in myself. So guys, happy Monday, happy Mental Health Monday. If you're interested in doing Sober October or just betting on how long I'm going to make, guess what? You can do that. I've had lots of people try that. They're like, oh, I bet you don't even make it till the 15th. So I might win a lot of money if I make it all the way through this. But guys, I want to thank you again. Today is Mental Health Monday. We're coming to the end of 2021. It's all about you in 2022. So please make sure you're joining our community, sharing and loving, because without each other, we're just nothing. Thanks, guys. My South African queen!
I missed you so much. You have no idea.
I missed you. I am so grateful you're here. You and I didn't talk to almost anyone all week last week. And when I say that, I literally at one point didn't speak to anybody for like 2 days. Anybody. Like my niece talked to me. I made sure to reach out to you because you were running the show and you were doing such an amazing job. Ilse, I am grateful that you jumped in and said, hey, fuck it. I am not going to let this all go to waste. Brandon and I are working together, and I'm honored to have people on a team that believes in a better future. And to have someone step up like you did through all the pains you're going through, just like everybody else right now. Thank you.
You're gonna put me in tears. Don't do that. It's only it was an honor to stand in, and it's an honor to be part of this channel. And it was an honor speaking to you last week as well, and that I could impart some knowledge on you, and helping you, helping me. We're just helping each other, and we know why we are, and that is the right things will happen. We are here. I've got you. I told you last week. I've told you before. When I say I've got somebody's back, I do. My actions always matches my words. I've got your back. I believe in what you're doing and what we are doing, and in our viewers and in our mission. And
we have a lot going on. So now last week you had a bunch of great interviews, and you and I, I was like, you guys didn't even know I was watching in the background making comments. The one day I made a comment and Brett's face goes, I think that's Brandon. It was hilarious to watch his face. And then Ilse reads the comment out loud with my fake alter ego, and I could tell she had no idea who it was. And I was like, that was fun. That was fun. Ilse, you and I talked backstage. We talked about doing a Sober October. Now, for me, it's going to be a little different from you. I've actually decided to not drink, not smoke any weed, no tobacco. I'm cutting everything that can be addictive in one swoop. And the first couple days for a week is probably going to... What do you don't have to have an answer on all of it now, but what do you predict or hope good morning, Jay Bird. What are you hoping to be able to work on for yourself? I know you said you're probably going to do the no drinking, but you've gone a year with no drinking. You've been doing phenomenal at helping yourself. I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you so much. Yes, I had this on and off relationship with alcohol. As soon as thank you so much, Sherry. As soon as things fell apart in my life, or I try and get onto the right path, something will happen and I'll just start partying and drinking and so it's not that I needed alcohol or was an alcoholic, I just use it to numb my feelings, and then I would make decisions that throws me off my path. And before I know, I'm in situations that I don't want to be in. And it's actually long-term situations, not even short-term situations. And I just decided while me and my ex-husband were still together, I stopped drinking as much as we used to. And then when I left and I moved into my own place, I went into full party mode again. And I just partied because my whole life was falling apart. And then this when he came and okay, so let me give you a little bit of history. I went to pick up my daughter one day from school. We had week custody. And when I got there, my mother-in-law and my, still husband, I'm not divorced yet, actually went and opened a rape case against my son on my 5-year-old daughter. So my whole life just imploded. And I actually used to drink still then as well, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna try and not drink. So I tried and then I would fall off the bus and I would drink still and everything. And I think it was about December on my birthday was the last time 2 Decembers ago that I had any alcohol. And then my best friend passed away on the 4th of June, and I had wine in the cupboard, and I celebrated his life. I took about 3 or 4 sips of the alcohol, and that was the last time I drank. And I just promised myself that I will never, ever put my mouth on alcohol again. The only time I do drink is when I go for my full moon rituals or whatever, and I'll take a sip of wine and toast the moon and celebrate and do that as a ritual. But it's like 1 sip, so that doesn't even bother me at all because I do not have that need to drink. I think I'm because I stopped drinking, I started to work more on my issues that I have, my inner issues, and not try and numb it with something like alcohol or partying.
Did you, was it like for me, my outlet was helping other people. I use that as my excuse to distract myself from my things. And it became, like I said, my wanting to be a people pleaser, my wanting to help others became an area of broken boundaries of myself, and then areas of self-pity because I was mad that I was disappointing these people, that I felt I was in the wrong. With alcohol, do you feel you were doing the same thing? And I only ask that because our guest today, we're going to be talking about soberism, and it works perfect with Sober October. I actually had someone ask me, they're like, wait, you're not going to smoke weed for a month? And I'm like, yes. They're like, there's no way. And I'm like, I promise, I'm going to do it.
That's the only thing that catches me with Sober October, because I love weed more than I love coffee. So I don't mind giving you my coffee and telling you, take it. But my weed, and the reason I say this is I have a lot of mental issues. I'm not mental. Don't get me wrong.
It's okay. You can be mental.
It helps me with my sleeping. It helps me with my just being not all in my head.
I can get that.
Yes, because I'm an overthinker. I always have 3 or 4 scenarios already played out in my head when I hear something, and already have a plan on when things go wrong. What can I do to fix those things that I already think is gonna go wrong? So when I smoke, I'm like just chill, and I do not overthink like that. And
it doesn't make you sit on the couch and let go. This is gonna sound weird, but let you distract yourself so you don't get distracted looking at other things. Like you're able to actually just let go of things and keep going. Correct?
Yeah. I think indirectly I'm also using that, where the alcohol, you use the alcohol as a kind of bandage. I do use the weed, but it's as if it's easier for me to deal in a slower way, if you can say it like that, because I still deal with my stuff. I just give myself a break. There's certain times that I go, okay, now let's quickly think of what's going on, what's wrong, why are you triggered, why are you feeling like this and everything. But to think about that the whole time, it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yes, it
Ryan
is.
always brings the nicest food. Yeah. Just
Who
want
does?
food.
Who brings food?
Ryan already says, yeah,
Oh,
lemon curd crepes with blueberries, strawberries, whipped cream, blackberry. What is a sabayon sauce?
Sabayon sauce, like a blended sauce of mixing those together on top of, I'm assuming, what would be a crepe. Didn't he say a crepe?
He did. I just
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
my
That's
I
that's
know.
so Ryan put a picture up the other day showing his weight loss and all this. And I have to be honest, I compliment him on it. He's down 80 pounds. He looks incredible.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever seen him this low. It looks like light, and he looks incredible. I'm beyond proud of him. And then I'm looking at this picture and I'm looking in his background, and good God, hey, I don't know if you saw the beginning, Jessica. I really don't know if you did. I know this is probably going to catch you off guard. Please, I'll send you what I wrote, but I wrote a lot, and I do. I 100% do, and thank you. I apologize to you more than anyone, and I owe you not just a phone call. I know you have, and I have not been here, and that was my fault. And this was something I really, really fucking broke on. And you were the person I was offending the most, and I really felt bad. And I know you would have accepted my call, but I was yelling at myself. And please know I did that because I felt I was failing other people and not you, and I was taking their stuff and having bad boundaries, and that was wrong. And I apologize with all my heart, and all I can do is I'm sobering up in October completely. Like I'm making sure I push the sober October, because there's been so many people that have come to me and said, you're not even going to make it to through the first weekend. And that really pissed me off, to people to think that I can't go a month without smoking anything, without drinking. And I don't drink. I really don't. I have one drink like a week. But like, I really want to break through this fucking barrier. And I'm not censoring myself. I want to break through to be the best version of myself. And when I write in my journal, I see these absolutely amazing things come out of me. And then when I stand in front of people, it's like I'm running into a wall and just smashing my head. Thank you, Jess. So I want you all to know, God, am I grateful for you. I have all my good things. I've been creating proper boundaries. I've had a lot of heavy conversations. But the point of all of this is to say, in Sober October, the reason I'm doing this is I'd like to help each other, keep each other accountable. If I disappear, you have the right to yell at me. And I don't mean yell, but like, hey, I haven't seen you post today. I didn't see you on everything everybody was doing. God, I was grateful. I wrote down 100 things I'm grateful for, and everybody commenting and everybody watching and talking to me about what we do and how big of a difference it makes. Whew, I felt that. Thank you all. And I want to be able to take Sober October with everybody that would. You don't have to give up everything. I'm just saying, pick something for 1 month, and let's see who can last the longest as a team, as a community, as a
Maybe
group.
let's pick 3. Let's pick 3, and you just take out 3 things that's not good for you. So I'll pick 3. I won't do coffee. I won't do meat. And Jessica, this one's for you. No meat. So I'll go vegan for the whole of October. And that's a big thing for me, Jessica. So please appreciate it. and I need a recipe on cheese, please. And what can I exchange my eggs for? Because apparently I'm also not allowed to eat eggs.
What do you mean you're not allowed to eat eggs? Oh, because you're vegan. You're gonna do the vegan thing.
Yes, I'm gonna do vegan for the whole October. So I won't do any coffee. I'll do vegan, which cuts out dairy in any case. So and then I'm gonna try and not smoke cigarettes because I really, really do want to stop smoking.
Is that your third one?
That's my third one. I might struggle with the third one. I don't think I will because I'm stronger than what I think. It's a habit. It's a very, very bad habit. And one of the worst habits. I have stopped smoking a couple of times, but I always go back to smoking. So I'm going to do if I can stop smoking for the whole of October, then I won't start smoking again. So if you guys can put that vibes out there, that is what I am doing for sober October.
I love his comments here. Like, this cracks me up. Jaybird is 1 in a million. Like, and I don't mean that as in like, oh, a dime a dozen or anything. Like, Jay really is a very special human being, just like Sherry, just like Jessica, just like Brett. But like, everybody has their own amazing little talents, and yes, I've been juicing, Jess, for real. Whether you could see my beautiful skin or not, I've lost 20 pounds at the beginning of last week. I think I gained 9 of them back yesterday. It's a magical thing when we realize we can nourish our bodies, help the planet, and be kind to all without it. And we consider that we are conditioned to believe we can't. I'm proud of you guys. Thank you. Honestly, that's why I really felt convicted on this one. I really did. This is going to be a fun one because the drinking thing. It's not even going to faze me. It's the smoking thing. I use it as my reset. Like, God, I'll be driving and some asshole like doesn't pay attention, cuts across 4 lanes of traffic. I'm like, I need to calm down, motherfucker. I'm not going to chase that guy and beat him out of his car. Hold up. Okay, now we're good.
For your safety.
Right? Like, I'm doing this for your safety. Like, this is not for me. This is for all of you. Truth is, I have to be able to reset in a better way. I've started juicing. I've started exercising. I literally woke up this morning and my dog laid on my chest, trying to get me to stay in bed. And I looked at him and I go, not today, Satan. And the dog's face, like, he goes, huh? Like, so we get up and I sit right next to him and he lays his head on my lap and I just start journaling. And I asked myself 3 questions every morning the last week. And I literally am doing that every day. It's pushing myself to be better, stronger, faster, harder, and believe in myself. And you can't do that if you don't have boundaries. Boundaries are like climbing a rock wall. You're going to have things in front of you, but they're able to help you build your steps and go over that wall to build your best view. And that's what I'm trying to do, even with hiccups. Ilse, so for me, the hardest thing is going to be the weed. Yours is going to be the tobacco.
Yeah,
How would we be able to draft punk moments? He's right. How can we together as a community, what would you want for me to be a better leader to help you stay accountable? How can I help keep you accountable? Because I'm asking that for myself and everybody. Like, how do you like to be held accountable without it getting in your head and feeling bad about yourself or pressured?
No, I don't think if you want to be held accountable, you can't feel that, oh, it's going to hurt my feelings, because if you hold yourself accountable, what if somebody else doesn't have to keep you accountable? So my thing, I think that is my biggest problem. I never hold myself accountable. I think I'm the person that I don't hold myself accountable. If I want to do something, I do it. And then we just go out. But I don't think when you hold somebody accountable that it is a negative thing on them and that they have to feel negative about it, because that's why we are here. It's easier to do something when you have that support.
Yes.
So that support system, which I don't have. I mean, I don't have anybody to hold me accountable. I live by myself. I mean, nobody tells me shit. If I don't want to wake up, I do not wake up. If I do not want to do something, I don't want to do something. So for me to have somebody that can hold me accountable is already a step in the right direction. Somebody that won't get upset if I say, yes, I had a drag of a cigarette this morning and it was only one, because I really, really need it and understand what I mean. And will say, listen, you held out for so long and now you want to smoke again, but not making it a as you said, a negative thing. It's just the way that you use your words and your body language. That is the most important thing, is to empower somebody when you do check them or keep them accountable. Do it in a dog eats homework inside joke. So Jaybird gave me homework to do, and then he sends me a message to ask me did I do my homework, and I'm like, yeah, the dog ate it.
How can you blame the dog?
Let's try later again. I said, because homework and me doesn't. So he says, okay, dog, eat my homework.
How were you as a student? Were you a good student growing up? Like, did you actually do your homework?
I wasn't a good anything. I was a rebellion teenager. I was just all over the show. I had I think I'm still like that. And if I am, I apologize for anybody that's in my vicinity. I do what makes my soul happy. If it doesn't make my soul happy, I just can't do it. I can't be in a position where I'm not happy. So
I get it. One. Excuse me. Like, I don't know why I've been yawning so much. They say yawning's clearing an energy. So I'm like yawning to try to
open your throat chakra.
Hey, Jessica, I know today is date day with Phil. If you could do me a favor and give him a kiss. I want you to just take him, dip him, kiss him, and then the minute you give him a little bit of tongue, tell him Brandon says I love you. Okay, thank you. Brett's face in the back was well worth that. Good morning, Shada Jones. Study hall was a grown-up romper room. Ooh. My thing was, in school, I was a troublemaker, but I did things to get detention, because in detention, you're not allowed to talk. You weren't allowed to do anything. You had to sit there, and you could do your homework or you could put your head down. I'd get all my homework done in detention, because I didn't want to go home and have homework. So I purposely got myself in trouble. I got suspended for wearing cargo shorts. For real.
That's stupid.
Thank you. I agree. That was the stupidest thing I've ever been suspended for. I just I got in-school suspension for a week because I wore cargo shorts.
I will not tell you on air what I was suspended for in school, but I will share the story with you one day. But I will not do that so that the whole Facebook and everybody, YouTube and everybody can hear what I did. But I think that was like the worst thing. And that was like just so bad. If I think of it now, I'm so glad that my children has never put me through things that I put my parents through.
I think that is hysterical. Like, honestly, it's like, I don't want to do this. I hate homework. I really do.
I really did homework. I never studied for tests. I just winged school. I don't think I ever went to detention. I don't think we had detention. When I was in school, they gave you a hiding. In school, you got a hiding from the teacher. Hiding. They used to have. They'll take so that's one thing about South African parents. They beat the crap out of their kids. They were taught that you get a hiding. If you do not listen, they will smack you around. So in school as well, I mean, if they phoned your parents and they told your parents, yeah, she's naughty, your parents will tell them, well, then sort her out. I mean, she's in your school and you need to look after her, so give her a hiding. And they used to they call it in Afrikaans, they call it a rotang. So it's like a rotang, yeah. It's like a piece of tree, a branch of a tree, and then they'll take a insulation tape, and they will tape it around like a red or a blue, and they will call it like the red danger or whatever. And they will literally, if you don't listen, call you in front of the class, make you bend over and smack you with that thing until you listen.
Do they still do that in South Africa?
No. They can't do it. They can't do it now. They will get locked up. But when I was in school, they used to.
Well, here, let's have this conversation, because a lot of people have, and you and I are catching up with everybody today. I have no kids, so me saying spanking is good or bad or anything really should not have an opinion because of the fact I don't have any kids. But
you don't spank kids. You don't spank kids. And the reason for that is, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
You're more than welcome.
The reason for that is I don't believe in hitting someone and then telling them that you love them.
I agree.
Coming from abusive relationships, love shouldn't hurt, not even if you do something wrong as a kid. Because there's reasons and it's a whole situation, but you do not spank kids.
Okay. That's I don't have kids. When I was a foster dad, we did not spank kids. I well, legally wasn't allowed, but like I wouldn't anyways. But my thing is, like, I was a troublesome kid. My parents, like, they didn't want to spank me, but my mom couldn't help when I was a teenager, and she couldn't like spank me anymore because I said, "Ooh, thank you. Can I have another?" She thought that was the meanest thing ever. Like, for real, my mom, if you want to have some fun one day, we should just have my mom come on, and I won't say a word. I will sit here, and you guys can ask my mom questions. God, I remember the first time I ever swore in front of my parents. They did not think it was appropriate that I said, "Oh, pardon my French." They didn't think that was as funny as I did. And I was like, okay, that wasn't well. But like, the spanking was something that when I did get spankings, I was very young. And it was because I really was doing something wrong. It was like I could have been very seriously hurt compared to spanking me just because I'm running around and not sitting still. I'm working with my parents. We're creating this thing with training where every time the dog does something, like jumps on you, cuts in front of the other dog to eat food, takes their bone, things like that. Instead of saying no, we're saying boundaries. And I'm like, hey, boundaries. And like, then I take the bone and I switch them back and give them to the right dog. Hey, boundaries, no jump, boundaries. And I put a leash on them. And that way, when they go to jump, you're standing on the leash and it's pulling them right back down. So it's just these little things, but it's fun because I've been doing that to my parents. And I'm like, hey, remember, boundaries. We're teaching the dog boundaries. So this puppy's running around and all that. And my dad makes some joke to my mom. And I go, boundaries, Dad. Boundaries for Mom. And Mom starts laughing. She goes, are we doing this for everything now? And I'm like, yeah. Because I'm like, it's not a
bad idea.
Like, think about what I'm saying there is we're creating a way of saying, like, hey, you're crossing a boundary with me. Hey, you're hitting a barrier with me that I don't feel comfortable. And if the other person cares, respects, and thinks highly of you, what's their response going to be? Their response is going to be wanting to actually see it get better. Their response is not going to be to fight you. It's going to be to actually get there. So, like, it's been an interesting way, like, learning my parents, learning this dog and training them. It's almost like I'm training them how to respect each other's boundaries on top of training a dog. Shauna Jones says, I used to get spanked. If kids these days got spankings, there would be more respect and less troublemakers. And
I actually don't agree with that because I feel that you don't need to spank kids to get respect from them. I get respect. I've got a daughter of 5 years. She doesn't shout at me. She's not nasty. She jumps on. She'll jump on the bed, and then I'll go, listen, yeah, I do not jump on your bed, so do not jump on my bed. And I'll explain to her why you don't jump on bed. I will have a conversation with her because she's not stupid. She knows exactly what she's done. Like, she'll walk into my house and she'll pack up all my stuff. So I don't mind packing out my stuff, but just put it back where you get it. Understand, setting boundaries with him. You don't need to spank it, because if she jumps on the bed and I smack her, she's gonna think that her husband can, if she puts something down somewhere, somebody can just smack her because they don't like the way she acts, and they don't have to have a decent conversation with her. Okay, with that face.
I want to make a joke, but it's inappropriate.
No joke's inappropriate. Tell us.
I understand, and I used to get spanked as a kid too, but sometimes it's good to get spanked as an adult, okay? Like, it's... I didn't expect that. And I make that a joke, and didn't expect... Like, good Lord.
Where did that come from?
I know, it's been so long since I've had a spanking. Like... I make it a joke, but like, as parents, as a parent, everybody has their own boundary on that. You're okay with your daughter coming in and cleaning things up and then making sure she puts them back later. But there are a lot of kids who, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that I'm trying to picture it as a whole, not just one kid. I see these, what Shauna's saying here is a phenomenal way of saying this. If kids these days did get spankings, I don't think it's in school. I think it's parents are so busy nowadays. Both parents have jobs. Both parents are probably divorced the way divorce is on a trend. There's many, many areas that facet into these things. And all right, I have returned. I feel like that should like have its own theme music when he comes back now. Bum, bum, bum. But like, it's a thing that I remember when I got spanked, it was because I needed to learn a lesson. It wasn't in the moment, it's bad. But Ilse, how many times if I disappear for a week and don't answer anybody and don't talk to anybody, that's a boundary that I broke, that I have to come back and reset. The spanking I get. Hold on. Hold on. Because I should have been more professional on showing up. And trust me, it's going along with where we're going. But my thing is that boundary for me, now that I've said my apology, it opens it up where both sides are back to balance. And you let me have that first. And that was the essential thing, where kids don't know that balance and don't take the time to sit there to write everything out that they're going to have to feel and let go of and all these things. And I think that's where a lot more is going to be coming into play, is being able to, if we're not going to spank our kids, they have to have another way of understanding their emotions. Because I didn't learn anything from a spanking, and I didn't learn anything from detentions. I learned how to do homework and get into more trouble.
Thank you. Because people try to put the fear of God into you if you do not listen. I'm going to beat you if you do not listen. So you have that fear. Every weekend's a jungle weekend.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't believe that your kids should fear you. They shouldn't be scared of you, because then they'll be too scared of you. It's too scared to come to you and tell you about real life problems. Because if they break a glass, or they do this, or they don't do their homework, which is so fucking superficial. Sorry, my Monday word already used. It's superficial. What is school? School is like 12 years out of your life. It's not you. Your marks that you get in school, it's not you. You get parents that spank their kids because their marks aren't good. Mm-hmm. Understand? That is not reasons to spank a child. There's no reason for anybody to hit anybody else. I do not believe in violence. And I mean, if you do not believe in violence, you also do not believe in spanking kids. There's a reason why kids act the way they do. There's a reason. So they might be treating you the same way you are treating them. But because you're the adult, you don't want to look at that. Because how can you be the problem? You're older than them. True. So that's why I don't believe in spanking. I have The first 2 kids, I was still in that mindset of you have to spank them. But I learned my lesson, because I know that I didn't. That's the one thing from my childhood that I despised, was being beaten, because I didn't want to do what adults do. So with that, let's take it a little bit further. You are spanking a child because they do not want to listen to an adult. Then an adult comes and an adult takes advantage of a child, putting the fear of God into them, just like their own parents do. And why do people not talk about sexual abuse? Because they have a fear. They have a fear. So it's not just spanking. Everybody thinks like it's just spanking. It's not. It's not just spanking. It creates a ripple effect. It creates a ripple effect.
I was being nice because you're on a fucking roll. Like, I was like, I want her to preach it. Get it? Like, my question that I'm writing is in the background. You do it.
Especially me coming from that sexual abuse past, coming from being taken advantage of by men and uncles and grandfathers and fathers, and if you can, or anybody, because they put the fear into you that you should listen to them and you do not have a voice or a say. There's a lot of things that I did not deal with because I had a fear of my parents, a fear to speak to anybody, because when you get into trouble, there's a reason why you get into trouble. So get to the root. Do not just, oh, you're not doing what I want you to do, so let me smack you around. I mean, it's disrespectful. And if you respect your kids and you give them something to respect,
yes,
you wouldn't have a problem. You wouldn't have a problem.
I like this. Great say by Brett. The main reason children act the way they do is they're emotional, immaculate, or they either. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I read to you? The main reason children act the way they do is that they either emulate the parents or absorb and emit the energy of those around them. Exactly. They're humans. They're not children and then they turn into humans. They're tiny humans.
Yep.
Most of them, there are so many youngsters and children, and I'm taking your cousin or your niece as an example. She is so much more mature than some adults that we deal with on a daily basis. You can actually have a conversation with her and explain to her. You do not need to spank her. Why? Because she was raised to have respect for herself, to have respect for humans. If you smack somebody around, you do not have respect for them.
Thank you.
Violence is never the answer, not even as a spanking. You have no right to beat somebody with a fist or with a belt or with anything because you are not happy with the way they reacted.
Exactly. And now I'm going to play this. You ready? We're using kids as our analogy, but do you want to know what actually stands out more? Your pets. If your dog consistently goes and barks and tries to bite and all these other things, a dog represents what you're doing all the time. They usually match their owner's personality, their owner's energy, and I see what you posted.
We see you.
We see you, Brett. I got you. It was the look he got. It was like we almost were on the same page, Brett. Pets are the same. When dogs have frenetic energy, it's due to frenetic energy emitted by their owners. 100%. Why do you think dogs that are families that have dogs that are known for having to get put to sleep or something like that? They continuously are putting the wrong effort into the dog. It requires a change by them, and it's a lot of us don't want to look in and see that. Now, with that, we have a few minutes before we read the bio and all that for our guest today, who I know I am going to be the one reading the bio, but you're the one going to be asking the first couple questions, right?
Oh.
Yeah, cool. All right, because I have to read the last name, which scares the butt out of me. Like that last name has like 27 syllables with 18 consonants. I'm like, oh my god!
To say that, I think we need a shot of vodka just to let it roll off the tongue, because that
right. I'm gonna be like, all right, hold on, guys, let me get. So I do want to put one thing out there for what you're saying, because you've put this in such a good, this conversation is a very sensitive topic, but we've handled it in a great way, and I really appreciate that. It's a difference of opinion while also hearing the other side. That's the essential thing for a future. What I think is interesting here is I look at the emotional sides of this. And what I mean by that, Jane! Sorry, ADD squirrel. Hi, Jane! I love you. Hope you're well. ADD. But like, what about the emotional part of that? Like, and I mean that as in like, if you spank your kids, it's one thing. But the emotional part needs to be understood by you. So when you are sitting down, like my niece, when she's having an emotional breakdown and using her tears and anxiety and angers to create a foundation of disbelief in herself, it means that she needs to be able to understand that's where it's breaking at such a young age. She's about to be 10, and I'd like her to be able to have emotional intelligence enough to know, okay, this isn't worth getting mad enough. This isn't worth getting aggravated with. This isn't worth this. And then when people say things, it rolls off her back at a younger age. I talk to my niece like she's a 30-year-old at times, because she needs to be able to understand you're going to be this age one day. I don't think you need to be having certain adult conversations, but at the same point, you need to be able to break your barriers and find that emotional boundary for your kid that you want to see in yourself. And that's me saying what I said to my sisters and I said to myself. Beyond Moving Pictures is bragging about more foodies cooking. Ilse, do you want to read it and tell us all about it again? Because, God, that sounds delicious.
Okay. This is the recipe for you delight heads. Oh, I like that name. Fresh, is it cased chorizo chicken sausage,
Good job.
seared in a sage butter, cut in
Ooh.
half after cooked, put lemon zest and juice, whipped ricotta on. Oh. How many F words do I have that I can put in a sentence?
That I can put in a sentence. I love how that came out. Oh, Ryan. Oh, my God. That sounds delicious.
That sounds amazing.
Hey, Ilse, we have Wednesday coming up. Ilse, actually, we're making a meme that we're going to make for Wednesday. So don't give them anything
Uncle
about...
Bob has to wait until Wednesday, yes.
But ladies, I hope you're doing well, because we are doing... It is so much fun to be a guy and walk around places and tell random strangers about how bras cause cancer. And like, you get the weirdest looks. Like, as a dude, they look at me and they're like, really? Really? They're like, why are you talking to me about this? And I'm like, your boobs look like they need to be set free. That's all it is. Okay? Like, still celebrating. She just wants to throw more tomatoes at me. That's it.
I ate my last tomatoes. We have to wait until I go to the shop.
Uh-oh. Well, I don't like tomatoes at all. So that's why throw them all at me. La Tomata Festival. Waste your tomatoes. Throw a tomato at me, and if you want a video throwing yourself a tomato at me, I'm all about it. I will ad-lib it and make it look like you hit me, okay? But like I want to be able to break out of these barriers and be able to show my best self for my niece, because she's my only niece. I have no other grandkids or kids. I have pets, and I'm great with dogs and cats, but I want her to have a future. I want her to be able to go out there and feel comfortable in who she is. When I saw my niece was starting to do a training bra thing, I literally was having a conversation with my sister and played the episode about the guy talking about bras causing breast cancer. And yes, I love it. She was in California. She's doing a workout program out there. She is kicking some ass and a half. Elsa! Look at that! I love it! So she has been kicking ass. I go, please stop by. She's working on getting a bunch of different things. She might come in and actually do a workout Wednesday with us one day. Like, yeah.
Yes, please.
Oh, snap cake. So, Ilse, like, with that, the ladies being free, having flora and fauna free, we're going on a second week of this. We have 2 more weeks. How are you? Oh, we have 3 weeks? We're on 3.
Yes, we're already on 3 weeks. Because it's 2. We're going for week 3 now. This Wednesday.
This is week 3. Yeah. And then we have this week and next week. How are you doing going bra free? Do you feel like, look, the jokes all aside, I want to know how your health is feeling, how you're doing. How are the ladies doing in the sense that you're feeling good? And should people be jumping on this on Wednesdays and letting their...
Definitely. Even if you don't want to go out in public, I mean, you're not in public 24/7. So if you then just want to do it, make sure when you get into the car at work, just take your bra off. We all have a superpower. You don't need to take off your top. That's one thing. Women were born with that. We can take off bras in public and nobody can even see anything. So please, it makes such a huge difference. I can feel... I don't want to offend any, or I don't want to get banned. Can they ban us? But okay, let me just say this. If it comes out wrong, I apologize if I offend anybody. But they much more firmer and they feel like they're not sagging as much as they did 3 weeks ago. So I don't know if that's all in my mind, but really it feels different. I do not have that. I used to have pain on my shoulders, pain, at my back with the bra, because once you put on a bra, because it moves up if it's not tight around your waist. So you have to put it on your tightest setting so that everything can stay in place for the day. So that marks and that pain that caused, that is, it's gone. It's really, there's nothing. I don't have my back pain anymore. That when I sit here at night, that it pulls all my muscles in on my back and everything. So many. Oh, I just love that puppy.
Guys, this is the puppy I went to pick up. This is Pepper. Depending on what she's doing, she has multiple nicknames. She could be Pepperoni. She could be Dr. Pepper. Oh God, this dog thinks she's mine. This dog, like, I came home from, look at the look I get. Like, hi, can I have a kiss? Thank you. Oh, I love her so much. All right, Pepper, go play with Uncle Staines. My other dog that was here, it does not like having a puppy right now. No, Dr. Pupper. Oh, why not? Dr. Pupper. All right, I got to do one thing. All right, Ilse, I have a joke for you. You ready?
Okay.
This was made up by a 9-year-old, and it's how this puppy got her name. All right? So, why do fish prefer salt water?
I don't know.
Because Pepper makes them sneeze. My name.
Clever. That is so
9. She said that to me with such happiness. Like, I literally looked at her and I'm like, wait, like, did you come up with that? And she's like, no, yeah. And I'm like, I don't believe you, but I'm gonna let you have it. Oh, snap! I love it.
So
She's
I had
pepperoni.
my 5-year-old this weekend. So I went to pick her up on Friday and she came to visit. So Saturday morning, me and her drive. And I actually realized that her dad is going to have such an issue when he gets a girlfriend, because he drives a van. So we call it a bucky. It's like a truck. I think you guys call it a truck, but he's got like an NP200, little small utility van. So it's got the 2 seats. So that's all there is. There's 2 seats. So her dad used to date a girl whose name's Leonie. But I think they broke up. She went missing or left, and they're not together anymore and everything. But now we drive down the road, and this 5-year-old tells me, she says, you know what? My dad's car only has 2 seats. And I'm like, and how's that a problem? She says, when Leonie gets there, she sits on my seat, and I have to sit at the back. So I'm just happy she's gone. And I burst out laughing with this 5-year-old telling me her dad is letting his girlfriend sit on her seat. I'm Like, dude,
It is her seat.
problems.
I think that's great. She's putting her territory down. She's like, yeah, that's my seat, Dad. You didn't let Mom sit there for all of her life. Now you need to let this other girl. No, Dad, I'm first. I've known you longer. I love it. I've known you 5 years, Dad. How long has she known you? Yeah?
Exactly. I've known you my whole life.
My whole life. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny. I don't know how I ended up with both dogs under my feet. Sorry about that. That's why I was able to show off the puppy this morning. So, Ilse, I'm going to read the bio. Our guest isn't here yet, but she will be in a few minutes, we hope. She did send an email saying how excited she is, like, while we were on air. So I want to read her stuff so everybody knows not to go anywhere. And when she gets here, we'll do a quick intro to have it ready, and you're going to knock this out of the park. You're going to have the first question of the day. I hope you're ready for this.
I am very, very ready.
So her name is Karolina with a K. The last name has a lot of letters, like Rzadkowolska, and is a certified alcohol-free life coach who helps powerful women make alcohol insignificant in their lives. She's worked with thousands of clients through her online course and coaching to change their drinking habit and unleash a new level of health, happiness, and potential for their biggest dreams. Her book, Euphoric, Ditch the Alcohol and Gain a Happier, More Confident You, will be out on shelves on January 4th. She's the host of Euphoric, the Euphoric podcast, founder of Euphoric Alcohol Free, and her work has been featured in the Huffington Post, Authority magazine, Greatest, The Elite Daily, and Karolina's passionate about helping you discover what really makes you happy outside of a beverage and design a life you love. Guys, you're not going to want to go anywhere for this. She is going to be with us in the next 2 minutes to 5 minutes. She's just popped in the back, so we know she's here and read her bio. Don't worry, Karolina. We love that you're here today, and we are grateful you came by. Euphoria podcast. Euphoria is everything with hers right now. Ilse, are you excited for this? We've had a really interesting morning with our conversations, and how she fits into this one is amazing. Like, wouldn't you say?
Exactly the right time and the right day to speak about, especially doing the Sober October and
yes.
Yes.
So how long do you think you can last?
Well, without alcohol, I've lasted a year, so I can literally last as long as I let myself last. That's the thing. I let myself down every time I relapse. Let's take the smokes for instance. And I used to be a cocaine addict. Yes, people, I had a drug problem. But in any case, for me, when I decided to stop using drugs, I never went to rehab. I just decided I'm done with drugs. I'm gonna stop. With alcohol, I'm done with alcohol. I'm gonna stop. With cigarettes, I struggle. It's one of the hardest addictions that I am struggling with. And that's what it is. It's an addiction. It's an addiction.
It is 100%. You are, it's one of these things where, but there's a lot of things people put themselves in and get themselves addicted to without realizing it. And being, euphoric, not euphoria. Thank you, Brett. That's why I have people run the show from the back, because I always say the wrong things. The dyslexia, ADD, I can have excuses all day, but I still stand here and try to read. Sarah says, Poe and Coach just heard the puppy barked in response. So those were the dogs I actually house sat this weekend. So to have the puppy bark in the background, I'm sure those dogs probably did respond. Like, wait a minute. Hey, Mom, do you want to come say hi?
I didn't know if you wanted to introduce.
I already did introduce Pepper. My mom's now popping her head over my walls. This is wonderful. Come here, before the guest comes on.
Hello, Mommy Groucho.
Hi, how are you? I'm doing very well, thank you. Keeping busy with this puppy.
The puppies are supposed to keep you busy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I do not need that kind of responsibility right now.
I'm not sure I do either. I don't think I bit off too much.
Luckily, Mr. Brandon's there to help babysit.
Oh yes, he is a huge help. Yes, he's my co-partner.
Co-parenting the puppy. Everybody's saying, "Morning, mommy Croucher."
Good morning to everybody out there. I hope they're having a good Monday.
Do you see you getting all the hellos? Good morning, Mrs. Croucher. Hi, Sharon from Bob.
Hi, Bob. Hi, guys.
Jane says she quit smoking and then says hi. CK Ford says hi.
Good for you.
That was part of our earlier conversation. But Mom,
I did too a long time ago. It's because of him.
They want, and like the funny thing about that is my mom doesn't know. Ilse and I had a conversation about her earlier today about having Mom tell embarrassing stories about me. So I guess you're going to be coming back one day, Mom.
Oh, I could do that.
You could have a whole.
You need more than 2 hours. No guests that day.
All right, Mom. I love you. Thank you
guys.
for coming on and showing everybody your new puppy.
Our new puppy.
Your new puppy.
Thanks,
Your
guys.
new puppy. Bye, Mom. I love you.
Bio and then I can quickly go to the loo.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah, go ahead. I got you. I'll pull you out. I'll read the bio again and make sure everybody knows who we have coming in. Introduce her. And Sarah, I don't want you to tell. This is what story Sarah wants everybody to have. The story of when my mom threw spaghetti at my head. I thought she was going to go after the lit candle and why I'm bald. Ilse, I'm going to read
you my cell phone number, Sarah. You can WhatsApp or message it to me. Then I'll just read it out on air.
Karolina, do you see how I'm treated right now? They're planning these things in the background. All right, let me read this, and we will have Christina on. Ilse, I'll have you back here in a second. So, guys, today we have on Miss Christina. Christina, I apologize. I am just going to call you Miss Razzle Dazzle because your last name is very long and I don't want to mispronounce it. She is a certified alcohol-free life coach who helps powerful women make alcohol insignificant in their lives. She's worked with thousands of clients of her own through her own online courses and coaching to change their drinking habits and unleash a new level of health, happiness, and potential to go after their biggest dreams. Her book, Euphoric, Ditch Alcohol and Gain a Happier, More Confident You, will be out on bookshelves on January 4th. She's the host of Euphoric, the podcast, founder of Euphoric Alcohol Free, and her work has been featured in the Huffington Post, Authority Magazine, Greatest, because she is the greatest, and the Elite Daily. Karolina is passionate about helping you discover what really matters, what really makes you happy outside of a beverage, and design a life you love. She would love to hear from you at euphoriaaf.com. And I have a gut feeling that AF is not as euphoric as, Yep, we'll just wait and see. We'll have to ask her.
Hi, my name is Brandon, and over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I have traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram, lab-tested, all-natural, water-soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, and your delight when you need it most.
And we're back. We are lucky to have with us Miss Karolina. We are grateful. How do you say your name properly, your last name? Because we both didn't want to really mess that up.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandon. Elsa, it's so great to see you both. I'm so happy to be on the show. My name is Karolina Rzadkowolska. The last name is really complicated, but you can just call me Karolina. My parents are from Poland, so it's a doozy of a last name.
Do you want to know what's funny? We actually had our Polish, one of our Polish audience girls commenting earlier today. Anna is from Poland and is obsessed with our show, loves to come and say hi. So the fact that you're Polish, she would have been able to help me with that. I should have called her before the show. Hey, help me. So you might not have caught the beginning of the show. We actually had a discussion with everybody about Sober October. And what that means and why I am trying to do. I'm going to go sober. Like drinking has never been my thing. I'm more of a smoker, things like that. And for me, I saw that coffee and sugar being very big triggers for me. So I needed to be able to break away from those. And I've decided to do Sober October. And we announced it today. And I'm so blown away because it's just how the universe works. You're our guest today, and you're talking about these things. Why does, maybe not every soberness, but like, why does going sober to so many different areas, why is it so beneficial that you made your career about helping people like this?
Absolutely. That's such a good question. And congratulations on like the new October coming for you and amazing benefits that will come out of that. But we are literally as a society conditioned to do certain things, right? Like when it comes to drinking, which is what I focus on, so I'll be speaking upon, most of us picks that up when we are teenagers, right? Like in most cultures, it is something that is either a peer pressure thing or we do to fit in or we do to prove our independence or adultness. We pick it up as teenagers. And what ends up happening is we pick it up as teenagers. And unless you hit some kind of rock bottom, you have that habit for the rest of your life. It's just this normalized part of our society. We drink at birthday parties. We drink at dinner parties. We drink on Fridays. We drink with our friends. We drink at funerals. It is everywhere in our society. So what ends up happening is that, I really work with women who are in the middle, not the heavy drinking category, not the like rock bottom. Because the thing that happens is that unless something really, really horrible happens in your life, most people don't even evaluate if this habit is serving them, if it's making them happy. They might not even know because it's been something they've been doing regularly since they were so young, how it actually affects them physically. Some people think this is just what it feels like to get old and don't realize it's actually the cumulative effect of alcohol. So what's so cool about Sober October is it takes a very, very light, curious, experimental approach to just ask myself, would I feel better without alcohol? Why don't I take a month off and try it? And the thing is when you do it with a lens like that, with this curiosity, you can really see which version of your life you like better, version A or version B. And then with that data in hand, you can then make a conscious choice of which one you prefer. And the thing is that most people just haven't given themselves the chance to experience it. My first dry period came with dry January. It was also a month off that I committed to back in a few years ago because I was sick of feeling tired in the morning, exhausted, letting myself down, just the whole like gamut that comes with alcohol. And there's this study that proves that once you take an extended break from alcohol, and it's usually a little bit more than a month, it might be like 2 months to 100 days to like 4 months, 80% of people actually don't go back because what they find on the other side is so much better. And I'm super excited to talk about some of those benefits in the show today.
I just thought that would have been my question was what positive things can come out of not drinking for a whole month? What benefits can the people look out for?
I such a good question. And, there's so many benefits that I could write a whole book out of it, which I have literally done because it's not just like 5 things or 10 things. It is 1,000 things that happen when you take a break from alcohol. So, starting with a lot of reasons why people want to do Sober October is they want to feel healthier, right? They want to have more energy. They want to feel better. They want to, sleep better. Those are some of the physical benefits. So I'll start there. So physically, like alcohol really affects your sleep. Just one glass of wine, and this is why I work in the middle area because I'm not talking about heavy drinking, about normal, routine, regular drinking. Even just one glass of wine has been proven to completely mess with our REM sleep cycles. So we usually have around 5 to 6 every night. And when we drink, they can get lowered down to just 1 or 2. So you might be clocking in 8 hours of sleep even after drinking. Your body's not getting that nourishing REM sleep that you get. So, alcohol also has this ability, although it's a depressant, it actually induces your body into a counter-reactive state. So it actually induces the release from your body of stress hormones. So when you drink, about a few hours later, your body will release cortisol, adrenaline, and dynorphin. And dynorphin is one maybe we haven't heard of as much, but it's also creates anxiety in the body and also depression. So when you wake up after a night of drinking and you're feeling kind of blah, not only physically, but a little emotionally too, it's not just in your head. It's not just you. It's not just your personality. It's literally the chemical cocktail of alcohol on your body, right? And so those stress hormones also wake you up. I don't know if you've ever gone out drinking with friends and then woken up at 3 or 4 a.m. when you're pretty restless and thirsty. You know, that's those chemicals waking you up. So alcohol and sleep are just enemies, honestly. So one of the first things that rebalances is your sleep. So you start to get the yummiest sleep of your life. It takes a while. It does take a few like days to weeks to rebalance, but then you get into the yummiest sleep. And because of that, and because your body's not working overtime to detoxify alcohol, you know, alcohol, I don't like to be a prohibitionist. I don't like to scare people, but there's just so many more facts that we're getting today. Kind of like the way we had this awakening around cigarettes. You know, it was such an accepted norm in our society until we really got some of the like facts and studies. And then, you know, then we kind of, it's been really kind of phased out. Like I live in California. I don't know anyone who smokes here in California. Like seriously, it used to be a big thing, right? And today I don't know anyone.
Smokes
But
what though? In California, they might smoke something
cigarettes.
else.
Yes, exactly. Cigarette smoking. But, you know, so we're learning more and more about alcohol, and we're learning how actually carcinogenic it is on the body. So it's very toxic. Alcohol is the same ethanol that you put in your car, that's in your paint thinner. You know, it's a very toxic chemical, and our body, it takes a huge toll on our body to detoxify that. So like not only are we ruining our sleep from alcohol, but then it takes this huge toll on our body to be able to detox from that anytime you drink. So one of the next initial benefits after your sleep improving is you get this regained sense of energy because now your body's not working overtime to detox. Your sleep isn't getting impaired. And that accumulates day after day after day after day until like you fall in love with mornings. You know, I used to not be a morning person at all. And it honestly had so much more to do with my relationship with alcohol than anything else. I personally only drink on the weekend, but even on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, when I wasn't drinking, I was still catching up from that. You know, it takes the body, at least when you lose 1 hour of sleep, it takes the body 4 days to recover from that. So imagine if you drink every weekend, you're always in this recovering cycle. You're never getting that sleep you're losing all the time. So first of all, we have the sleep, then we have the energy. You know, and then I love to talk about this. You know, a lot of people want to get healthier by taking a break from alcohol. And what's really cool is that just as little as 4 to 5 weeks, they've done studies on it now. They've done studies on dry January and sober October, and your body's massively healing on the inside. So things that you didn't even consider alcohol might have affected, it's really healing. So first of all, they've found that an average person will drop 20 points off their cholesterol. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never heard before I got into this work, I never heard a correlation between alcohol and cholesterol, right? And I used to have high cholesterol. I used to have around ranges between 20 and 240. Might be different in the UK with different in Europe, but in the US, you know, it's anything above 200 is kind of risky territory. I ate vegetarian. I ate pretty well. You know, I tried everything under the sun. And personally, when I went alcohol free, I measured mine a few months later, but mine dropped 51 points. 51 points just from changing my relationship with alcohol, just by not drinking. And so that's this crazy thing. I mean, how many Americans are on blood cholesterol reduction medications? How many people is this a huge risk factor for? This is where heart disease comes from, right? So this study proved on average that you can lose 20 points off of your cholesterol. Your blood pressure always goes down. So alcohol also increases blood pressure over time. It makes the heart beat faster, but without the related physical exertion that you would get from exercise. So what ends up happening is your heart becomes less efficient at getting the oxygen you need in like all of your body, and it actually strains it and makes it sag over time. So your blood pressure goes up, and you know, even like a binge weekend, like they say, can lead to a heart event, which is just crazy to me, right? Because everywhere you go on the internet, red wine is supposed to be so good for your heart, but they've completely debunked that. Like there's the risks so outweigh the benefits. And they've really been like kind of poorly designed studies that they were using previously to try to say that kind of a claim. And a lot of the alcohol industry is kind of involved in those kind of studies. So your blood pressure goes down, your blood cholesterol goes down. Not only that, but your liver fat starts to heal. So just 4 to 5 months off, 4 to 5 weeks off alcohol, your liver fat can go down by about 15%, which is really crazy because liver fat is actually the predecessor to liver disease. And then we have the brain. So the brain, they've studied that people who drink 1 to 7 drinks a week have smaller brains than non-drinkers. Now, I don't know about you, but if you told me to like limit my drinking to just 1 to 7 drinks, I would have thought I was like the healthiest person ever, right? Like, isn't that what the doctor says? Like 1 drink a day? So the brain's actually smaller. It reduces your gray matter. And it also, what it does is because it's such a strong habit that gets routed in the brain, it changes the neural pathways of your brain as well, as like any habit or really strong kind of addiction can do. So a few weeks off alcohol, gray matter starts to grow back in your brain and your neurons start to regenerate and lay down new paths because you're changing the habits and you're like getting better at self-control and resilience than had you not struggled with this. So the gray matter goes back, right? Okay, next. And this is just about a month off alcohol. This isn't like a year or anything. They found cancer markers go down. So they're able to test the cancer markers that you have in your blood. And they found that just a month off alcohol, cancer markers go down. Now, just with what I've said about the physical benefits, and there's so many more about the mental and kind of psychological benefits, if you were able to take everything I just said and put it into a pill, I mean, pharmaceutical companies would make billions of dollars, right? And this is what's so crazy is like, this isn't really that common knowledge yet. You know, like if you might be suffering from these other chronic issues, like most people don't say, well, hey, you know, like unless you're drinking like a bottle of vodka every day, no one's really talking about alcohol when it comes to just this moderate type of drinking. And that's what I really love to do because, you know, personally, I overdrink sometimes. Sometimes, you know, I lost my memory, but most of my drinking felt pretty normal. I went out with my friends. I went out to dinner. I had dinner parties. I was doing what everyone was doing out around me. And yet I couldn't shake the feeling every Monday morning that I was doing something wrong. That I woke up so depressed. I woke up so behind. I tried to live such a healthy lifestyle during the week. I would work out. I would drink green juices. And every weekend, it felt like it just came crumbling down. And I was on this like never ending cycle. I was never progressing. I was never really feeling great. And I felt so alone. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Am I an alcoholic? Do I have to start going to AA meetings? Like what's going on here, right? And I just couldn't put myself in that box. My drinking wasn't that extreme, you know? And I was just like, I can't believe other people don't feel like this because otherwise wouldn't I hear about it? Wouldn't people be talking about it, you know? I remember going to a party and having like 3 beers and seeing my friends have 3 beers as well. And then I had the worst sleep that night and I woke up so depressed. And I was like, this must have not happened to them. It must just be me and my body because otherwise wouldn't we all talk about it? And the thing is that alcohol, especially as we get older, affects us all the same way, right? And that's something that we often don't really realize. Like, yeah, my 18-year-old body can bounce back from that pretty easily. But especially as we get into our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the body's not having it. And we're just not talking about this as a society. Unless you have a like physical addiction to alcohol and you're really drinking way too much every day, we're not talking about alcohol in our society. And then you're made to feel like if you do want to talk about it, all of a sudden someone's going to put you in that camp. So you don't want that. So then you just keep it all to yourself and you just keep managing the consequences. And, you know, I feel like that really kind of can lower your self-esteem over time. You know, when I like say to myself, oh, I'm only going to have 1 drink tonight, or I'm not going to drink, or I'm going to be this week, every single time you let yourself down, it slowly starts to lower your self-esteem and the trust you have in yourself. And that's something that I really like to talk about as well as these mental benefits. When you take a break from alcohol, and, you know, like Elsa said at the beginning, like you firmly commit. It's not like a try. It's not like, oh, I'm going to drink a little less. Taking a break is actually a lot easier, I think, than trying to drink less because it's a firm commitment. You just say, no matter what, these 30 days, I'm not touching alcohol. After the 30 days, I can touch it. You can tell your brain that, right? But for now, we're just not doing this. I'm committing to this wholeheartedly. And the days start stacking on. And when you do your first weekend without alcohol and you've always drank during the weekend, you start to feel kind of proud of yourself. And then you do the second weekend and the third weekend and you're like, holy hell, I'm like Superwoman, right? And then you do like the whole 4 weeks and you're like, well, if I can do this, what else can I do, right? Like it starts to build this pride and confidence in you and it really rebuilds your self-esteem. And so for that, I took that and I started to feel so confident in all the other things I was telling myself I couldn't do, because I didn't think I could go a month without alcohol. I didn't think I could go 2 months without alcohol. And when I started breaking these barriers, it's kind of like running, right? Like the first time you run a mile or two, you're like, whoa, I did it. And then you get to like 3 or 4 or 5 miles and you're like, holy moly, I'm really an athlete. And then maybe you run something crazy like a half marathon and you literally think you're Superwoman. You're like, holy moly, I've done this. I've achieved the greatest thing. It's kind of like the same thing with alcohol. So you keep stacking these days, these weeks, these months as they go by, and you start to feel unstoppable with anything that comes to you. And that's where really the biggest changes came for me, because my entire life I told myself I wasn't special. I couldn't be an entrepreneur. I couldn't be an author. I couldn't go after my dreams. I had to just work this like middle management job, pay the bills, do, what everyone else is doing, and kind of just let go of the dreams I had on my heart when I was a younger girl. And the confidence and pride I started getting from taking a break from alcohol started to spill over in other areas of my life. I was like, hey, I didn't think I could do that, but I'm smashing it. So maybe I could be an entrepreneur. And it wasn't really that long into my journey that I actually launched a business. And then I launched a podcast. And then I wrote a book. And here we are today, many years later, with that book getting on bookshelves pretty soon. So it's just crazy to me. That's why I talk about alcohol. It's not what you're losing. You actually are letting go something that just doesn't serve you anymore. But guess what you're making space for? What you really want most in your life. And that's what I help women really do. I help women achieve their biggest dreams. I've helped women write books themselves, launch businesses themselves, move to Europe even. Like I've one of my clients is moving to France. Like that's her childhood dream. And just this crazy stuff. And it's so beautiful because, again, it's not what you're losing. You just take away something that's not serving you, and you can do it in a very experimental way, a very self-loving, self-analyzing kind of way, and really find what serves you and what you truly want to do on this planet. And that's another thing that I wanted to share real quick about another benefit that happens when we take a break from alcohol. So I mentioned those stress hormones earlier. So alcohol is releasing cortisol, adrenaline, dynorphin in your brain. So your brain is getting overly anxious and depressed, right? At the same time, because alcohol, like any other drug, like cocaine or like heroin, it also releases a high, like almost like an artificial spike of dopamine in the brain, in the pleasure center, right? And so it's higher, this high spike of dopamine, just like any other high from like cocaine or heroin, it literally can't compete with other things in our life, right? Because it's almost like a chemical manipulation of the brain. But what ends up happening, and obviously that's why people think drinking feels good, right? That's why people think drugs feel good. But what ends up happening over time is that this artificial spike of dopamine in the brain desensitizes your brain to naturally occurring dopamine in your life, right? So now the walk in the woods or the ice cream or playing with a child just doesn't register in your brain as pleasurable. Like you become neurologically unable to experience these pleasures of life. So because of the stress hormones and because of the like lowered receptivity to dopamine, in addition to that, drinking also reduces your levels of serotonin and GABA. So these other neurochemicals that are supposed to make you feel happy. So essentially what happens is a drinker, and again, this isn't a heavy drinker, this is just any regular routine drinker, their base level is this low, and then they drink, and then they get a spike, and then they go even lower. And then that's kind of like how they function, right? And so that's why, wine tasting and beer tasting and like, going out to the bar seem to be like the highlights of someone's week. But when you take a break from alcohol, all these neurochemicals start to rebalance in your brain. It does take a while. I like to say it takes around 4 to 6 weeks. But all of a sudden, your natural levels of dopamine and serotonin and GABA go up, and those stress hormones aren't in your body getting released all the time. So then what happens is that a non-drinker's base level is way up here, right? And they get to feel the beautiful richness of just like mundane moments of life. Personally, I remember like getting shocked and staring at clouds and looking at trees and just being so amazed with this beautiful sense of appreciation and awe. It was like I was a little kid again, or it was like I was falling in love. It was like the beauty of the world was lost on me as a drinker. And all of a sudden I became so awake to it as a non-drinker. So the thing is that that's a neurochemical, process that really does, it's explained by science. But like another metaphorical way I like to talk about it is drinking doesn't allow you to know what really makes you happy, because it comes in as this response to your brain as like, well, this is what makes us happy, drinking. But it doesn't give you the chance to find out, well, what brings me organic joy? What truly makes me happy, right? What really gets me on fire? And I have all of my clients and students go through this really fun week where they become they try new experiences in their life. I encourage them to go to tango dancing classes, and I encourage them to try paddleboard lessons, and I encourage them to go out and write or go out to the botanical gardens, really start enjoying the pleasures of life. And it just opens their mind up. It opens up their lives to this new experience of what we could, experience as joy. And from that, they often find that there is more passion and purpose that they're uncovering in their life that they didn't know about before. That's why I talk about those women earlier achieving their bigger dreams. It's like sometimes those things are not visible to us because we don't have the incentive or the self-discovery to really discover alcohol is like this false chemical cocktail that like seems pleasurable in the moment. But what really brings me fulfillment? What brings me meaning? What brings me purpose? What is my legacy on this planet? And the cool thing is that as you're changing your relationship with alcohol, you're not just changing the habit, because just changing the habit will leave you in this, I call it like a deprivation vacuum. You look at the mindset. You look at the mindset of why have I become accustomed to finding this pleasure and this comfort and this benefit with alcohol? And I lead my clients through this process to do so. But if you can do that, you can actually remove the desire of alcohol. So once you remove the desire of alcohol, you have this beautiful blank slate. And it's like, what's going to fill that? Your meaning, your purpose, your contribution, doing something big on this world, right? And that's what matters most to me. It's not about a beverage at the end of the day. It is about stepping into your biggest calling of your biggest dreams on this planet.
All right, I have you gave me so much. Like, I have questions from the alcohol increasing blood pressure, red wine, all of that. But the thing is, your book has all this information, and it has where we can find the facts on this and where the research has come. Have you noticed a difference? Because I really want to read the chapter about the brain, if you want to know the truth, and how the brain works with alcohol and how anxious and depressed and all this, because they're pushing a lot more towards marijuana being that does these things. And it's interesting because there are links to anxiety, depression, and all of that with alcoholism. Have you noticed a pattern for people that are men versus women? And when they stop drinking and the benefits, like, does one sex seem to end up having a little bit more benefit than another? I know I say that weirdly, but like, I use pop as a way to explain it. I know whenever I cut out pop in my life, I lose weight like crazy. But I know a lot of females who cut pop out and they look at me and they're like, I hate you. How did you lose that weight? I'm like, I cut out pop. So it's like the same thing with alcohol. Do the effects change the body a little bit differently between men and women?
That's a good question. And, I don't know if there's been definitive any studies to show exactly the difference between what happens to a man versus a woman. But side note, it does also lead to weight loss. So a lot of people do notice that they lose weight when they take a break from alcohol, or their body composition might change. And there's a lot of science behind that too. So that's also in the book. But you know what I have noticed about the difference between some men and women? I feel like when men are already in a very a community or a mindset that promotes personal growth or promotes athleticism, this starts to become like, oh, it's a challenge. This is something I want to do. This becomes like, yeah, let's do this like 30-day thing, and it becomes a sign almost of like, how much better could my body get? Like how much, it's almost like a competition, right? Like how could we even? And then when the benefits start stacking on, it can be like a really easy way to be like, wow, this is just so amazing. I'm going to keep going. The thing is, if a man isn't in that kind of a mindset, right? Like from maybe the athletic or personal growth mindset, they've actually found that it takes a lot longer for a man to reach the decision to change his relationship with alcohol than a woman. So a woman, I don't know if this is obviously not proved, and I don't like to go with stereotypes, but oftentimes when a woman's not living her life according to her values, she feels that pain really deeply, right? Like women might be trained or socialized to be a little bit more introspective, to like use their emotions a little more, maybe journal a little more. So what often happens is this is not yet in studies, but it's almost there to show that women start noticing that this isn't serving them a lot faster, right? Because even, I work with a lot of moms, and, they might not be drinking very much at all, but they just notice, like, I can't be present with my kid. I'm like trying to just rush through like bedtime. Like, it's all about the drink. I don't like this. This is not the mom I want to be. And that's really painful to them, even if they're not doing anything really that bad or that wrong, right? So that like incongruence with their values is really noticeable. So why I say that is just because the different communities. So there's a lot of different alcohol-free communities. Obviously, I have one in Renna, a really cool community and course and coaching. But there's a lot around both this nation and the UK and Europe and Australia, and they seem to be really predominantly a lot of women in them. And so there are men-led ones too, right? So like there's this one great organization called 1 Year No Beer in the UK. And they're like two guys, like two macho guys. They're like, let's do this challenge. Let's like run races. Let's do Spartan races together. And they're still seeing 80% of their participants are women. So I'm just throwing that out there as the difference that like has been a little bit noticed. So like if it's, again, positioned as a way to like increase your athleticism, your stamina, your, something that you're doing for as a personal growth kind of a challenge, men jump on right away. But for some reason, if it's not, it's kind of like, it's something that doesn't address till much later, until a guy might hit like an actual rock bottom, if that kind of makes sense.
So you've mentioned the word relationship with alcohol so many times, and I have not had a drink. It's been quite a while that I stopped drinking, and the reason I stopped drinking is because I knew I had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. So how do our viewers know when they have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, and it's not just a social thing anymore, and then it's becoming a problem in their lives?
That's such a good question. And, the old way that we've been taught to deal with it, I don't think is very helpful. So personally, I don't use the word like addiction, because it might like some person might relate to that, and the other person's like, whoa, this is an addiction. Like, come on, I'm just having a beer after work every day. Right. So it's like, it's this, we have an image of someone who is like on a bench in a park with a brown paper bag, and our brain automatically goes, that is not me. Right. But the thing is statistically, most people do not drink alcoholically. And alcoholically, I mean, even that word is like hard to define. We can't today. Most people in the scientific community don't actually use the word alcoholic or alcoholism anymore. They call it alcohol use disorder. But most people don't drink in that very, very heavy category, but they do drink unhealthily. They do drink unhealthily, right? And so you have this huge spectrum. So on this side, you have someone who drinks like a few times a year at a wedding. And then you have on this side of the spectrum, someone who's drinking like a bottle of vodka every day or more. I don't know, right? Think of how many possibilities exist in that middle, right? And that's the thing, is that we're not talking about that really. And so I love to use the term unhealthy relationship with alcohol, because it kind of takes the barriers down. It's like, no, I don't have to be drinking that much, or I don't have to relate to this person's story or this person's whatever to be able to look into this. So the health guidelines are actually pretty strict around this. So most of our health societies and our recommendations say no more than one drink, right? Maybe two for a guy, but actually in the UK, where they're the most updated with like the health studies, it's only one drink for a guy too, right? So only one drink per occasion. How many people drink more than one drink per occasion? How many people, when you go to a dinner party or a birthday or something, it's like, okay, want another beer, want another drink? Like, this is normalized behavior in our society. Everybody does it, right? And then they actually have proven upwards of 60% of all drinkers not even drink a little bit above the health guidelines. They drink a lot above the health guidelines. So now we're not talking about a very, very small minority of people who have a problem with alcohol. We are talking about 60% of people drink way above the health guidelines. That is honestly what's become normal in our society, and we don't really blink an eye to it anymore, right? I mean, there's circles in America where there's this mommy juice, right? And moms show up to soccer games with wine in their tumblers. And this isn't alcoholism anymore. It's considered normal motherhood, right? Like, this is mommy juice. We need it to raise our kids. So our like perception of what is normal has kind of gone up a little bit when it comes to alcohol. Our drinking as a nation has gone up a lot like the 1980s. It's gone up a lot since like really in the last 20 to 25, 30 years, you know? I mean, think about it. Breweries used to not be a thing, right? Like there was one big brewery, Miller Lite or something, but they weren't on the street corners everywhere, right? It's kind of really gone up the consumption for women. So most people that drink, the majority of them do have a complicated relationship with alcohol. And by medical definitions, it is unhealthy because it's above the health guidelines. But it's a personal thing. So personally, I felt incongruent the way I was drinking with the life I wanted. I wanted this life. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to have integrity. I wanted to have grace and poise and self-possession around myself. I didn't want to be controlled by a beverage. I mean, when you go out and you have 1 or 2 drinks, all of a sudden it shuts down your decision-making ability. It actually shuts down your prefrontal cortex. So the not being able to stop at 1 drink is actually the function of alcohol in the brain, right? And in addition to that, because it has you go up on this dopamine rush, but then crash, your brain wants to evade that crash and go back up again. So it's like we make it out to be this thing that only some people can't control this, you know, relationship with alcohol. Only some people have a problem with it. But when you really look around, this is how it functions on most people. And it takes exposure to it to get it really solidified on your body and brain. And that's why, you know, this usually isn't a thing when you're 18 and you're starting to really think about, is this really serving me in my life when I'm older? But, you know, if you don't like rough sleep, if you don't like waking up feeling like I was talking like my authentic self last night, if you don't like, you know, pressing pause on all your health goals, because when I was drinking, it was munchies and, you know, whatever. If you don't like pressing pause on your life goals, if all of this stuff you can see is alcohol is kind of the common denominator, that's enough to say, let's try something different. Let's try a break, you know, and I don't have to quit forever. I don't have to commit to anything forever. But why don't I allow myself to at least have that experience and see what I like better before, you know, I continue being in this relationship. And one more statistic that I'll just share, 52% of Americans actually say they want to drink less or not at all. Those are the ones that actually admitted to it, right? So like, again, the majority of drinkers actually want to drink less or not at all. That's why I like to talk about this, because we're not talking about this as a society. We're only talking about severe problem drinking and addiction. And then, you know, you say like a handle of vodka and everyone else checks out because they're like, that's not me. I just have a glass of wine or 2 after dinner. This is what I'm talking about, is what is this normal gray kind of area that is above the health guidelines and can make a lot of distrust, low self-esteem, low, you know, ambition, because you're just more tired. It still is affecting us and our bodies and our mental psyches a lot. And just people aren't talking about it enough. So if anyone has any kind of, if they're asking themselves, if this is really making me happy, I think that's where you start. Not like, do I have a problem, but is it possible that this is not making me as happy as I thought it is, you know? And then that's where you can start and say, okay, it's not making me happy, actually, not in the long run. So why not try a break?
When you quit drinking, did you notice a change with your friends and people around you? I say that from experience. When I quit drinking my first time ever, I quit for my own everything, to build up my, like, restart myself again, but I didn't do other things. Now this restart's not going to be as hard because I don't drink, but like, I noticed I lost a lot of friends. And that sounds really hard, but it's one of the realities I think that comes with it. I wanted to ask you your perception on that and what you think between friends and drinking. But I'm also going to pull up your Instagram account while you're answering, so that way everybody can know to go follow you and keep in touch with you and everything like that. So yes, please.
Awesome. That's such a great question. And it's such a huge fear. I woke up every Monday morning as a drinker wanting to take a break from alcohol. And it was always the event on the horizon that was like, oh, I can't. I got a wedding this weekend. I got a birthday. I'm going to my friends. We're going out to dinner, you know. It was actually my social life that prevented me from taking a break from alcohol earlier than I did. So this is a huge, huge, huge fear. And it's not like unfounded. I mean, alcohol is a very, again, strange topic in our society. We almost put this it's a fermented beverage that we put on such a huge pedestal. I mean, imagine if you went to your friends and you're like, hey, I quit eating chicken wings. I'm not going to eat chicken wings anymore, right? Would anyone care? Would anyone like judge you? Would anyone want to hang out with you less or not? And yet, isn't it kind of ridiculous? Like, we're still talking about a fermented beverage at the end of the day. Like, nobody cares if you eat vegetarian or, I mean, in some circles, it's still a thing, but most people like have given a lot of freedom to the way we eat. And yet, why are we so weird about what people choose to drink or not to drink? But here's how I like to think of it. When you don't drink and you show up to a social event, people can have 3 responses. 1, they don't care. Literally, it's irrelevant to them. They do not judge you based on the contents of your drink. It's not something that they like consider. It doesn't really matter to them, right? And they just don't care. And that's a really beautiful thing because a lot of people worry that everyone's going to care, right? There's a chunk of people out there who just won't care. And it's like, it's refreshing. It's like, oh, I thought this would be a big deal, but it's really not. 2, there are going to be people who might be very curious about it and ask a lot of questions. And that might kind of freak someone out. Like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want people to like think something about me. But the thing is with the statistics I just shared earlier, you have to consider that at least 60%, if not at least half of everyone around you has had similar thoughts to you. Similarly doesn't like the relationship with alcohol. Similarly wants to drink less or not at all. Similarly experiences all these negative health benefits, right? I mean, everyone experiences negative health benefits. Most people just aren't as introspective or intuitive to really decipher, oh, this is why, and this is what is going on, right? So if 50% of people at least feel the same way, when someone's asking you questions about it or just being like, oh, are you quitting or are you doing a challenge, just like putting it up there, they might actually be asking for their own benefit. They might actually be curious in what you're doing because they have thought about this themselves. And you are actually becoming a role model to them. You are becoming someone that's inspiring them. 5 years ago, if I went to one of my social events, a party, and I saw someone not drinking and having a good time, it would have blown my world. I would have been like, what's that person doing? Like, how do they have this confidence? How are they allowed to show up here at this event and not drink? Because I thought it was the code of adulthood. I thought we all had to do it, So that's the second response. Is 1, most people don't care. 2, if they might ask questions, just imagine that they probably are a little curious about this too, and that they actually might be inspired by you. And then 3 is a negative response. So 3 is very similar to the second camp. They also are not happy with their relationships with alcohol. They might feel insecurity or doubt about it, but they are not yet at that level of introspection to actually want to do something about it. So you are a huge threat to them, right? So you are a threat to them, and like they don't feel comfortable because you are like mirroring back to them what they also don't like about their lives, right? And so these people have not yet gotten the emotional maturity to really understand why it's making them uncomfortable. And they might, like you just said, want to just like shut you out and be like, okay, like we just don't have anything in common anymore. But really think about that. Like, is that like our friends, like the nearest and dearest ones to us? I always say it might take time to get used to. It might be something that you together have to kind of go over ups and downs with. Like maybe start inviting your friends to hikes in the morning or for coffee or for yoga or something like that. Even with your partner, it's actually a really cool opportunity to get close. For example, me and my husband, all of our date nights included wine or beer, right? It was movie night, sushi night, date night, And so we had to kind of get creative. We started actually running races together. We started training for a half marathon together. We started playing board games together. We started doing all these new things that really bonded us in a new way. So I think for the nearest and dearest, understand that it might take time for them to get used to it, because anytime someone changes, the other person is left with this fear. Are they going to outgrow me, or are they going to leave me behind? And so they could react negatively to that, right? But I think for when we're talking about really people you love and they love you so much more than for what you drink, then that's something that you will over time work through. Now, if someone doesn't want to work through that, though, if someone's threatened by you and they just are like, whatever, we don't have anything in common anymore, maybe they really weren't as good of friends to begin with. Because if that's the only thing you got in common, right, maybe they aren't as interested in you as a person and developing that relationship with you as a person. And that really just goes to speak volumes about them and their emotional intelligence and maturity. And the cool thing is, though, is that in this lifestyle, like, I don't want to be friends with people who think the highlight of the week is going out to a bar until 2 a.m. on a Saturday night. I want to be with the movers and shakers of our world. I want to be with people like you who are spreading messages of positivity and running their own show and doing cool big things in the world. I want to be with entrepreneurs. I want to be with personal growth people. I want to be with spiritual seekers. I want to be with people who are doing something big in this world and are alive to it, not with people who think the highlight of the week is a bottle of wine, right? So you might, yes, like you said, lose some people off of your social life, but maybe you're making space for the people that will really, really inspire you, enrich you, and have you aspire to this new lifestyle together.
I like the way you said that, and that was just amazing, and just putting it out there. But now there's a problem with a lot of people drink because they do not have the social skills to interact with people if they do not have maybe 1 or 2 drinks for the nerves. And because drinking is such a socially acceptable thing, I mean, more than smoking, it's acceptable for anybody of age to take a drink. How do you get over that getting that confidence back that you do not need the alcohol to just calm the nerves? What can they do?
Oh, I love this question. So I am the biggest introvert ever. I have always been an introvert. I really identify with that. I'd love to read. I love to be alone. I love to like take walks by myself. And I still like people, right? I love connecting with people, but I also grew up really shy. So I was a shy kid too, okay? So add all that together, and I'm 17, right? When alcohol starts to become kind of more prevalent in my life. And all of a sudden, it's this magical elixir. I can just drink this drink and I can turn into this social butterfly and I can be an extrovert, right? And so from a very young age, I taught myself that alcohol turns me into a different person. Alcohol calms my nerves. It makes me more confident, gives me more courage. I thought it made me more charming. I thought it made me more interesting. I thought it made me more popular, right? And so on and on I go through the rest of my 20s. You know, I changed my relationship with alcohol when I was 30. So just about my entire, 20s, I keep believing this. I keep needing to use it. I keep using it as a crutch. Now, when you really think about it, though, this is an insecurity that I had deep down, no matter what, right? This is something that is an emotional kind of challenge that I was meant to overcome, but I'm never overcoming it because if alcohol isn't in the room, the problem's still there, right? I need this external situation to an internal problem. So the thing is that when you are always, the way we've all been normalized to socialize with alcohol, it's almost like we never build this muscle, right? We never learn how to socialize sober. We're always outsourcing our confidence or sociability to this drink, and we don't learn how to practice it. Now, I don't know about you two, but when the first time I ever public spoke, I was so nervous, right? Like I could barely talk. I had butterflies. It was crazy. Now, I mean, especially on the internet with online events, like this is second nature. Like you guys come on the show all the time, right? Like this is kind of what you do. You've practiced, and now you've gotten this skill. And so I think it's the same thing without alcohol is when you actually practice socializing sober, you go through the emotional hurdles that you are meant to feel and meant to overcome. Guess what? Most people feel awkward when they meet people they don't know or hardly know. Most people feel awkward with small talk. This is a normal human condition, right? It's not just like a extremely shy type of person. But the thing is I think we're meant to feel those feelings so that we can learn to overcome them. We can learn to actually, how do we connect with each other? They've proven that like with kids, right? Little kids like 4, 5, 6 years old, when they first meet, like they'll be a little shy, they'll be kind of on the side, and then 30 minutes later, you can't tear them apart, right? They're playing, they're having a good time, and it's really kind of similar with adults. And so like you can kind of naturally just trust, well, what if I just leaned into this situation? What if I just connected with people? What if I asked a lot of questions? What if I became interested in other people's lives? And the thing is that alcohol usually makes you really insular. So it changes like your brain in the moment, and all you're thinking about is like very insular things like, what do I look like? Am I going to get another drink? What am I doing tomorrow, And so without it, you can actually truly connect much better with other people, especially people who are on the same wavelength as you, right? And you can actually be much more present to them. And the thing is that as long as I believe that alcohol made me charming or interesting or more sociable, did that mean that I believed that I wasn't interesting, I wasn't charming, I wasn't likable enough without a chemical flowing through my veins, that's a huge self-limiting belief. And it's one that I really had to overcome and work through. But because I didn't give myself a chance to work through it when I was 18 or 21 or 25, it was this mental block that I carried for a whole decade. And it wasn't until I had to practice socializing without alcohol that I really looked into that. Like, why do I believe those things about myself? Why do I think that I'm inherently not as interesting if I'm not drinking? And I did a lot of kind of self-discovery work to finally realize like all the answers that I need to feel more confident, to feel more interesting, to feel more charming. They're only going to be found within myself by building myself up through personal growth. I'm never going to find them outside of me. It's not a magic drink or magic pill that's ever going to make me that thing. If I'm not confident, a drink will not make me more confident. Like that only works when the drink is the solution in the room. If it's not there in the room, you're still left with no confidence, right? So I challenge all of my students to actually work on this as a personal growth challenge. How can we achieve more confidence in our life? How can we become more comfortable in our skin? How can we, really relate to people on a deeper level? And those are really cool growth opportunities. They're not necessarily comfortable. They can be uncomfortable. They'll take you outside your comfort zone, but that's beautiful, right? I mean, everything we want in life is outside our comfort zone, and it will grow you and grow you and grow you.
I love what you're saying. I love how you're doing this. This is a very essential thing that a lot of people don't realize. The benefits of it alone, I was writing down every time you said something new. I had to write it down. I didn't know a lot of these, so that really helped. I was on your website beforehand, and I noticed as I pull you up, come on. There it is. So Becoming Euphoric and a 5-day retreat. One is an 8-week online course to fundamentally change your desire and mindset about alcohol and give you the clarity and passion you need to go after much bigger dreams. And the other one is a 5-day course to learn about habit change and beliefs that keep you stuck while getting inspired to choose you. I was hoping you'd tell us a little bit about that before we do our final takeouts of the day and do our goodbyes. And I want to make sure I'm the first one to say thank you for coming on here and having these conversations today. I really appreciate this. I have so many things to talk about with Ilse, so we can make sure we share this podcast, but on top of it, be able to bring attention to so many different areas, from the liver to the brain to the cancers to the lowering of your blood pressure just by not drinking. Part of me wants to go to the doctor and get everything checked out and then do Sober October and go back and get everything checked out, from blood work to everything. So can you tell us about your euphoric trips? And I have to ask, is it euphoric as fuck, or is it euphoric alcohol free? Just want to make sure I have it the right way.
Good question. So yes, it's euphoric alcohol free. Although if people think of it the other way, it's not a problem either, right? Why not? Let's be euphoric. But yes, euphoric alcohol free. And I'd love to answer your question. So, a lot of what I shared today is like, okay, this is really cool. It's really exciting. I want to go do it. But, alcohol is still a really ingrained habit. And it's also something that we've been conditioned to believe is really necessary in our lives. So you have a really strong habit, regardless of addiction, regardless of drinking patterns. It's a habit, irregardless, right? You don't just drink once or twice over your lifetime. It is something you have done hundreds, if not thousands of times, right? So it becomes a really strong habit. And it also is something that we believe is necessary to, have a fun life, to be sociable, to relax us at the end of the day, for example. So many different beliefs we have. So I don't want to just throw people out completely cold and be like, okay, just don't drink for 30 days. I want to make sure that I have the best tools that you need, not only to be supported as you're changing the daily habit, but also what's more important is to change the mindset behind drinking. And so my 8-week course helps you uncover these limiting beliefs you didn't even know you had around yourself and your relationship with alcohol, and completely debunk them. Because the thing is that once you debunk them, once you no longer believe them, for example, I believed before that alcohol made me more confident. When I really did this work, this mindset work, I actually at the end of it believed something completely different. My conclusion at the end was alcohol actually makes me more insecure over time. So what that does is that takes away a chunk of my desire for the reason why I was drinking, right? And imagine if you could take away all the different chunks of your desire, you would literally be left with no desire. So drinking or not drinking isn't a question of what you can't do or willpower or deprivation. You literally are left with no desire for it. Now, like a great example I like to use is like people who have smoked cigarettes before, or people who, you know, had done anything before in their lives. Like today, like I used to smoke when I was in college. You couldn't pay me to smoke cigarettes today, right? Like I have no desire for it. Like it's not something I'm missing out on. I don't want to do it, right? And I want to get people in the same place with alcohol so that they're not controlled by it at all. They get to choose if I am going to consciously drink or not. If I'm going to be an alcohol-free person, I'm making the decision for me. I'm choosing not the drink, not this conditioning and this habit reflex I've had. So my 8-week program really walks someone through day by day. How do I not only change the habit, get the tips I need to like make this work for myself, get new rituals in my life, you know, new sense of connection, new sense of relaxing, but how am I changing the mindset underneath the big iceberg? And then if that's like, that's a course, you know, I guide people through that every single month. But if that's like a little too much, someone's not ready for 8 weeks, you know, I have the 5-day restart. So the 5-day restart is a challenge to go 5 days without alcohol. And throughout the time, you'll also start getting the preliminary lessons of how it works on your brain and how you can start changing that mindset on your brain. So it's like if you're ready to go deep and you're ready to go in, all in the 8 weeks and fundamentally change your life. And not only that, but like not only uncover and debunk that desire so that you have none left, but then fill it with something else. So I spend the last 2 weeks of my program helping guide people how to find their bigger dreams, how to find what really lights them up in life, so that they now have this new foundation to like, alcohol seems so small in the rearview mirror. I'm going after my bigger dreams. And then the 5-day restart is a little taster, a little teaser if someone's not quite ready for the 8-week program yet.
Karolina, thank you so much for all the information that you have shared with us. I hope that everybody does Sober October with me and Brandon. So how we end off the show is we just give a piece of advice, some knowledge, lift people's spirits. Just to end off Mental Health Monday. I'll go first, and then Brandon will go second, and then you can go third and just tell the people something that may be interesting or anything to get them through the week. Okay, I'm first. Guys, today on Mental Health Monday, we have had such an amazing discussion of the benefits of not drinking. I would like you all to join us for Sober October. If you want, you don't have to if you don't want to. We are not forcing anybody, but you have seen the benefits, so maybe try it out for yourself. There's a couple of things that I want to mention before I give you my little bit of advice. I've got a Mental Health Monday post on LinkedIn with a little poll. If anybody that is on LinkedIn will please go and share and take part in our poll. And then we need 7, let me just double check. I think 7 more subscribers to get to 350 on the YouTube channel. So if we can share, so we can get that 350 as well. And then what was my last message? My last message is I pulled a card again before the show. And I just love these cards. The card says, appreciate the obstacles. And it says, each obstacle you overcome is a stepping stone on your path to greatness. Appreciate the obstacles, for it empowers you to courageously face future barriers in your quest for success. Today, with Mental Health Monday and Sober October coming up and everything, I just wish that we will all make decisions to better our lives and our own health. And with that, show people that making positive changes in your life is necessary for the growth of your soul, for where you need to be on your mission. Be kind to one another. It costs nothing. Much love, and thank you for everything.
Ilse, well said. Thank you so much for those wise words today. Wow, Karolina, you are amazing wealth of knowledge. You've brought such amazing things. I have a lot I'm looking through here going, I want to talk to so many people that I know and just present these ways of saying, hey, just in case you want to do something with us. Ilse and I have decided we're going to be doing a sober October just to try to reset ourselves because, as Ilse said, stepping stones of life and getting the best out of yourself. And the truth is, you can't be a leader unless you're willing to take the steps that are there for everyone else to follow. If they're going to want to be the best self of themselves, you need to be able to do the work yourself, from diet to drinking to exercise. And Ilse and I want to make sure we put our best selves out there. So we want to thank everybody for not only being a part of our community and jumping in here with us, but we want to thank you for wanting to get the best out of yourself. So today, make sure you take a moment to look in the mirror, look directly in your eyes and tell yourself, I'm fucking awesome. And just let it be that.
Such wise words from you too. And I just want to echo, if this conversation has piqued your interest, if it's got you a lot of food for thought, there is nothing to lose by trying a break from alcohol. At the end of it, you will be healthier, you will have more energy, and you will be a more evolved version of yourself that you can then go and choose whatever lifestyle you want at that point. But if you don't try it, you'll never know. And like Elsa said, our obstacles are meant to make us grow. And going through a challenge like this literally might develop you in ways that you didn't think were possible. And I know I shared a lot of information today, but everything I talked about, from the health benefits to the mental regaining your self-esteem, self-love, confidence, and then having the ambition and audacity to go after your biggest goals, it's all can be found in my newest book, Euphoric Ditch Alcohol and Gain a Happier, More Confident You, which you can find right now as a pre-sale at euphoricbook.com. That's euphoricbook.com. And so, I encourage you, this isn't embarrassing. This isn't something that makes you have a problem or a stigma. Like, everybody drinks. And I think it's only the most mindful, intuitive, and brave people who are willing to ask themselves, is this really serving me in my life? Is this really the habit or the social convention I really want to be a part of? And have the bravery to just ask yourself, I'm willing to see things in a new way. I'm willing to try something new. You will never, ever regret it.
Very well said. Karolina, you're welcome back anytime to the Delight Cafe with us. Thank you for being our shot of Java this morning and giving us a dose of delight. Ladies and gentlemen, go give love. Go be this change you want to see in the world. And remember, only you can change your world. So, thanks, guys. Have a good one.